I knew something was off. Exhaustion, just wanting to sleep, just feeling exhausted, wanting to sleep, but not actually allowing myself to lean into that but instead filling a calendar. So there would be a lot of resentment because I can't rest and relax because I've got X, Y, and Z to do all week. And then next week it's that thing. So anytime like I had an open day on my calendar, it was okay, well, yeah, I'm available. But then what that wasn't doing was allowing me to have moments of rest and be able to slow down. So that was one of the things. And sleep just didn't fix it for me. Like I could sleep for 24 hours and still feel exhausted.
Welcome to SOULgineering Your Life and Work. I'm Ravi Tangri, and SOULgineering is about how do we bring more soul, more heart into all of our life, all of our work. What are the tiny little pressure points that we can leverage to be able to shift our life to be more aligned and live more fully, not by doing more, but by just aligning ourselves better. And I am delighted today to have with me actor, speaker, writer, professional storyteller, Martina Kelades. Welcome, Martina.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to be here on this show. And I'm so excited because this already feels so great.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, Martina, I'd like to jump right into, you do a lot of work on wellness, and you have personal incident that happened back in 2018 that I think catalyzed that. Can you share a bit about that? Because you've been doing many things, working in organizations, acting, and all of this, but this changed things for you, transformed things.
Mm. Yeah, the 2018 was the pivotal moment where I really allowed myself to face myself in the mirror. So 2018 was the moment where I accepted the gift from my CEO and manager, taking some time off because I had for several years been silently avoiding recognizing symptoms of burnout. I was on a spiral, and it was that moment in that season that, yeah, I realized I can't keep going. I can't keep going on this hamster wheel. And so that really shifted everything. That ended my 10-year career as a personal development facilitator. So I was working in employability skills training field. I loved the work I was doing. I loved the clients I was working with. I loved the organizations I was working for. And also I was struggling with some of my own inner, pain and turmoil that I was avoiding. And so in and trying to not see myself in the mirror, see that reflection, I kept working. I kept doing more. And so, like, even as you were just saying in the introduction, not doing more, oh, that really hit me, Rafi. Like, and I feel like I still feel that because, yes, a lot of my work is focused on shifting the narrative and removing ourselves from the hustle culture per se. I still find myself dipping into that pool, like, just especially as an entrepreneur, especially as full and complete gig worker, where I need the bookings and the clients to survive, basically. I find myself conflicting sometimes with, you know, I I can't keep doing more. I need to rest more. I need to lean into surrender more, as we were talking earlier. So, but 2018 certainly was that pivotal year that I keep going back to. It laid the foundation of the work that I'm doing today because before that, I was of the mindset, keep doing all the things, be involved in all the things, socialize all the time, work all the time, be perfect in all that you do, and you will find success.
So to everyone else, you were having an amazing life, but inside you were burning out.
Ooh. Exactly. Exactly. Like, and I know that a large part of that perception I curated. I certainly was one who was like, I've got to show that I've got the perfect marriage. I've got the perfect career. I've got the perfect family. I've got the perfect, social life, all the like insert whatever here, because that was to distract from what was actually happening even with inside of me. And it was during that season. So I was working full time. I was in a new position too, which was really challenging because it's brand new and you're learning. You're
Yes.
creating as you go, of course. I also was working doing contract work in emergency care and was working more than full-time hours, so overnight hours. I was co-founding a mental health organization with a partner, and it was around, like, eh, sharing our story and being open and transparent about the journey, and yet underneath it all, I was like, I'll, like, share a little bit, but it was very surface, but I knew that, there was a lot of things that were conflicting with the work that I was doing and how I was actually, like, leading into life and showing up for myself. So that was a major conflict, which also caused more stress. And, yeah, and there were personal challenges I was having. So all I could think about was just taking on the next project, doing the next thing, staying busy, not focused on, the things that needed to be healed. And,
Right.
eventually, like I said, the point of it's time to take time off work was in 2018, but this had been years in the making.
Right.
I could even remember back in 2016, like, things starting to unravel. So, yeah.
So it's ironic that you were actually doing this work about sharing the stories and finding balance, and yet inside you were holding and almost, I'm guessing, it sounds like a little in denial. And it took the intervention from your boss to say, you need to take space, right?
That's right, yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of denial, and there was a lot of shame. I carried so much shame, and this is probably one of the biggest piece of work that I had with my therapist, because I was that personal development facilitator who talked about these things and the importance of taking care of self and not burning yourself out, and yet here I was facing that very same thing that I, encouraged others to avoid, like, to avoid, and let me get this clear, like, of course, like, we get lessons, we get teachings, we get wisdom and knowledge from other people and, like, "Don't do this," I think of as a child, like, my parents, like, "Don't do this, this is not good for you." "Okay, I won't do it." But for me, it was like, I preached it from, like, this is so important, and yet, as I was facilitating in these classes, I also felt very fraudulent in that, and so I remember even hearing my own inner voice of, you know, how can you talk about the importance of self-care and the risk of, like, compassion care burnout when you're not even living this yourself, or you're struggling, or you're denying, or you're avoiding, or you're numbing. I was doing listen, the numbing was top notch, like, I had everything controlled to avoid anyone knowing that I was unraveling underneath, and so, yeah, the shame of that, of taking the time off, the shame of, like, even friends and family, like, when I was diagnosed with depression and anxieties or even was put off work related to burnout, the questions of, like, "There's no way." Like, "You've been you've been good, like, you're always coming into the room with energy and joy and love and laughter, and, like, how are you depressed?" It doesn't
Right.
make any sense, and so even that, fueled the shame spiral of, like, I just I was hiding. I was hiding.
Right. And I think a lot of people are doing that, even if they're not, it's sort of like, the adage that sometimes you teach what you most need to learn. In that case, you were doing that. But even without that, I think a lot of these things, the stigma about the mental health the the shame, the it can't be me, the what will others think. There's a lot of denial in there because I know from many of my coaching clients I've worked with. I'm curious how you were lucky that you had that intervention from your boss. How can others start to recognize burnout earlier and get through that haze of denial, find a way through?
Hmm. It's one of those things, like, I find it's certainly burnout doesn't happen and arrive in this big aha moment. It doesn't arrive all at once. It creeps in. And I will say this, like, I'll preface it by saying this is my own individual experience because burnout can, of course, look very different for each individual. But for me, it crept in with irritability, first and foremost. And I was irritable with the things that, and I'm a pretty patient person, I think, but irritability in terms of like the smallest things would irritate me. I'm driving to work and I think I wrote about this one. I was driving to work and the light turned yellow and the car in front of me slowed down and then stopped before the light turned red, which is the safe thing to do, actually. That's the right
Yes.
thing to do. And I remember I was like so angry the fact that they didn't go through so I could actually go through and get to the next, like get to work, early or whatever, like not be late. All of these things, it was like it was a reminder of how full and busy and just, like, how much I was just kind of go, 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 and not just allowing myself to pull back and slow down. Like, I just wanted to go fast all the time, and so when I couldn't control that, I was so irritable when, you know you know, even with clients sometimes, I was working with a lot of clients with identified mental health challenges, and when I saw the compassion kind of weaning a little bit, when it was like, "We've had this conversation already. Why didn't you show up to work?" And just, sensing that little irritability within my spirit, I knew something was off. Exhaustion, just wanting to sleep, just feeling exhausted, wanting to sleep, but not actually allowing myself to lean into that but instead filling a calendar. So there would be a lot of resentment because I can't rest and relax because I've got X, Y, and Z to do all week. And then next week it's that thing. So anytime like I had an open day on my calendar, it was okay, well, yeah, I'm available. But then what that wasn't doing was allowing me to have moments of rest and be able to slow down. So that was one of the things. And sleep just didn't fix it for me. Like I could sleep for 24 hours and still feel exhausted, like physically,
Yes.
mentally, emotionally. I mean, I was spiritually deprived. There was just so many things that were happening, like in the whole concept of who I am, and that's why, like now, I focus on all of the areas of health, like not just my physical health,
Right.
mental. So that was one of the things that I realized was an early sign of burnout and disconnection with the things that I cared about. Just feeling ambivalent, like I just what is whatever, like not feeling that passion. I could perform passion.
Mhm. You performed it, you were acting.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how can this is something some of the listeners may be feeling, something they may see in others around them, whether it's at work or in community, family, friends. How can you what does it mean to create safe spaces for conversations about this? And how can you start to do this in the workplace with friends, with family? Whether it is you that is feeling this exhaustion
Mhm.
or someone you see.
Yeah, I mean, I think prior to 2018, prior and I say, the 2018 is that mark, uh,
Mhm.
because that was the moment where my CEO and manager had that conversation with me in offsite. of the workplace and also in a boardroom. So I've had 2 different kind of environments where we've had conversations that talk led to wellness and employee wellness. But before that, it just never really, I mean, we talk and joke make jokes about, like, stressed out and burnt out. Like, I've had all of that like, years before, and I think that's common culture within the workplace of, "Oh, yeah, like, I'm just gonna have a drink tonight and everything will be fine," and you do that every night of the week, that's not good. That's that leads to destructive cycles, but for my employer in that season of my life to recognize that there was a deterioration of my wellness, that something had shifted within me, not that my work or productivity was bad, but there was something different about me as the individual that as an employee, and there were conversations of, like, that started from a curious nature, I think, of, "How are you doing?" And they were just very open and just and I think that openness created that just organically created that safe atmosphere of like, "Oh, yeah, we've kikied before, we've laughed and joked with one another before." And so I've got that trust built already. And then when it's this kind of conversation of like more of a serious nature, like we're recognizing this shift in you and, how are things going with this project? And yeah, it did lead for an easier conversation. However, the individual has to be ready.
Right.
In a safe environment or not, the individual has to be ready to, first of all, recognize the shift within themselves, that there is something off, that, perhaps that there's something that they need additional support around in order to accept, the gift, the offering, the conversation, the invitation of, you know, support, whatever it is. And so it took 3 times for me to actually recognize this because the first couple times I was in denial. I was like, "No, give me the next project. I'm good. Don't worry about me. I'm doing all the things." And then the 3rd time, I remember when you talk about the signs of burnout, I was encouraged by my employer to go have like a soul what was it, like a retreat over Christmas break and like do some soul searching and I did that. I was by myself and I had all these plans I was gonna write, I was gonna do all the things. And I just remember my body shut down. I crashed. It was like I was deflated. Someone put a pin in me, and all I could do was cry. And so that was certainly a sign. I was like, Something serious is going on here in your body. You're not paying attention to." And then, of course, through therapy, like, that helped me to allow myself to really lean in. But the 3rd time, I was like I was in the conversation. I was listening to what they were saying, the analogy of this hamster on a wheel that often is running from something that they don't wanna face, it struck me. I was like, "That I'm the hamster." And to feel seen,
Hmm.
heard without saying anything, that was significant. And to be offered a gift of like, "Here, we think you should take some time off." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'll take a day, like, take the afternoon, whatever." No, you need some time. You need some time. And I look back, I'm like, what an incredible gift that was. And even still, like, in that moment, I was hesitant to receive it because I was like, what does this actually mean for my future? Like, this work, this role is who I identify as. This profession is who I am. And if I don't have this, then I don't have purpose anymore in my life.
Right.
And so that was scary to even like think about. Like I didn't know what the future would hold. I didn't know at the time that I wouldn't be returning. I just knew that I knew I had to make a decision at some point, and I didn't want to think about that. I just wanted to keep going in my natural cycle and habits of just avoiding what's uncomfortable. And but it's really turned out to be this incredible journey and you know, I often say that there is pain in our purpose and everything that I've gone through in that season of my life has led me here, and it's the most painful things, the things that I even look back on now and just think, "Wow," like, I can't even believe got through that. If I would have known then what I would have needed to walk through to get to where I'm at now, I would have stayed in the comfort zone. I would have stayed in the place of, this is familiar. I don't need to change anything. I don't need to evolve. I just gonna stay in this place where I feel the most control, perceived control. I do air
Right.
quotes. Yeah. But yeah, it's been an incredible journey. And so that's why, like, I recognize what my employers did for me is significant, and so when I thought about starting Life Out Loud, that was the main purpose. Is I wanna also be like a conduit for individuals and organizations. I want to help and support leaders to start the conversation, at least to hold a safe space for these kind of conversations in the workplace, and it's because of the gift that was given to me, and so I feel led to share that with others.
Right. So, one of the things that you said that really jumps out to me is the compassion with which they had that conversation and support that they offered you. And I understand what you're saying about the avoiding. There's almost the hamster and the wheel, the busyness. It's almost what I'm hearing underneath what you're saying is that there was a hollowness almost that was growing inside of you, but you didn't want to face that. But then you hit that point, like you say, that time you took over Christmas and you couldn't stop crying.
Mm.
If you and your point is so true that the person has to be ready. But let's say someone is realizing, I don't know if I can do this anymore, right? That, but I don't know how to do different.
Mhm.
What are some small intentional shifts people can make if they are feeling stuck, if they're burned out, if they're feeling out of alignment or starting to feel that hollowness that they don't want to face? What are some small steps that they can take?
Mm. I say, yeah, I think small, and then I realize it may not be small for everyone, but I think first and foremost, I would say stop. Stop doing, stop running to the next thing, stop being productive. Just sit, be still. And I say this, I know it's so important because we live in this society, we live in this world where we are constantly bombarded with information, with advertisements, with things to do, with expectations, with noise, with noise. And so I think we've become really uncomfortable with silence and stillness. And like I said, it wasn't until I, was off work where I really started to find my stillness, to find peace and quietness and not have the noise around me so that I don't have to hear the thoughts. I don't have to feel my spirit. I don't have to, listening to the noise of help me avoid all of that. And that's not healthy. And so I would say I think that is so important because we don't know, we don't know what our spirit is telling us unless we silence ourselves. And I've heard, and I've said this before to some people and especially people close to me, and they're just like, no, I hate the quiet. Like I always have
Right.
something in the background. And that's why I say I know it's not a small thing. It's not a small ask or invitation to listeners, but it's such an important one. Even if it's like 5 minutes of just stillness, quietness.
Hmm.
And then in that, allow yourself to write notes down about how you're feeling, what's going on. Like, don't have a template. Just jot things down because that will start to, I think, reveal some things that are happening. I'm always journaling. I've been
Hmm.
journaling since I was a child. So writing has been very therapeutic for me before I knew the word therapeutic. But I look back and I look at the notes and I was like, "Oh, that's very interesting. I was feeling that." And I've taken my journal notes to therapy, because and then that helps me, like, when I get in that space, it's not like, "Oh," like, already feel overwhelmed and anxious, or I already feel full and at capacity, and now I gotta have a conversation with my therapist, like, I just don't feel the energy, like, I'm exhausted. Like, this has been me many times in therapy,
Yeah.
and I have notes. Okay, yeah, so this week, I've had some moments of, not feeling motivated, or this day I was just really feeling that I couldn't make decisions, and I've just been struggling with indecisiveness, and it's really having a hard time. Like, I'm having a hard time with it because it's draining my mental energy, and I can't make a decision, and, like, this is ridiculous. What kind of bread do you wanna buy? Just pick a loaf. It's not the end of the world, it's not that deep, but for me, like, it was deep. So, if you can actually just sit with yourself, that is so powerful and so important.
Right.
Uh, Other things I find being in nature,
Mhm. Yes.
away from phones, like, I would often go to the beach, Lawrencetown Beach. I mean, we have so many lakes and bodies of water in our region in Nova Scotia here, and I find being by water was so grounding for me. It was like anchoring.
It's healing.
It was so healing, and I would just stand there and I would look out, and I would just say, "Oh my gosh, look how massive this is, how small I feel," you know? And a part of that too is, like, leaning into a higher power. For me, my faith is Christianity, and I believe in God, and so, like, surrendering to higher power outside of my own self is so therapeutic. Like, I can't do this on my own. I can't do this life. It gives me greater purpose to know that I have a purpose, but also I don't have to do this journey by myself. And so that was a shift as well, as whereas before it was like, I gotta do all the things. I have to control everything. Whereas now it's like, you know, sometimes some days I wake up, I'm like, all right, God, this I don't know. I really don't know today
Yeah.
how to do the day. But I ask that you lead and guide me, you know? And so that just in itself just brings me so much peace and comfort. Like I shared with you, like this year has been a real up and down kind of year already. I'm like halfway through the year, and I mean, it's been the most uncomfortable season I've been in, but I've had the most peace that I've ever had. And it's because of my faith. And so that's why I say, like, have that thing that is outside of it's bigger than you.
Mhm. And
Therapy. Yeah.
also those things that you keep mentioning, and that is what you talk about, pausing with purpose,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. That pause, I'm listen, I feel like this is my ministry now. It's so every time I'm in conversations or in sessions, the pausing and the rest piece keeps coming up, and I keep sharing it, and it's like, this is also my journey. I'm not just sharing this with organizations because I have done this and I have mastered how to properly rest and pause. No, like, it's not even a master class. This is like a life class that I'm sharing, meaning I am doing this along with y'all, and
Yeah.
I'm learning as we go. And so it's been a really beautiful journey. Like, I don't listen, I don't know where this is gonna take me, but my hope is that it just helps me to connect with more people who will who will open themselves and allow themselves and give themselves permission to be more whole and well. And so that's my greatest task, in anything that I do through my work.
That's beautiful. And I really want to thank you for your vulnerability and your openness with your journey and what you have experienced.
Thank you for giving me the platform to share that.
Oh, my pleasure.
Check it out, check it out. Oh, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
So, what I would like to finish things off with, Martina, is our lightning round.
Uh-oh.
So, uh-oh. No pressure, no thinking, so it's easy. First thing that pops. Uh,
That
so
requires does it not?
what?
You said, "No thinking anything that pops." I'm like, "That requires thinking, doesn't it?"
No, whatever pops in. That's it. That's
Alright,
not thinking.
sounds
So
good.
introvert or extrovert?
Oh, extrovert with an introvert recharge.
Okay, so ambivert. Okay, cool.
Yes, that's right in the middle.
Yeah. W- What's the most favorite job you've ever had?
Okay, besides being an actor, a waitress.
Oh, really?
I love serving people. Oh my gosh, it's so
Wow.
yeah,
That's cool.
I know it's wild, eh? But yes, that's the truth.
Neat. What's the goofiest thing you've ever done?
The goofiest thing? Oh gosh, probably played Medea on TikTok, like, people still are like, "That's you, the old woman wig and the nightgown," and it's pretty goofy, but I
Okay.
love it, I love it. I don't know, it just look up Medea and people will know the character.
Okay, cool.
But that led me
What's
into the film industry, so
that
goofy
works.
yeah.
I love it. What's the best compliment you've ever received?
You know what? Lately, I've been getting a lot of compliments about my hugs. I'm
Oh,
gonna say the hugs. Yeah, someone said to me recently, "When you hug, I feel loved." And that just made me cry, so but yeah, I love giving hugs, and so that is the best compliment I could ever receive.
nice.
Yeah.
What's your biggest failure and what did you learn from it?
That well, I don't even know if that's a f okay, I'm gonna just keep it oh, man. I'm kinda going I don't even wanna say it's failure.
That's okay, but some
Okay.
people perceive it that way, but it's a reframe, right?
Yes, yes, yeah. I think relationship-wise, I'm going through a divorce right now, and so that and I think, yeah, I just learned that I am I'm growing and I am evolving into this woman who, is ready to take on a new sense of living and life. And and I say I don't say failure because I wanna say like my marriage was a failure, but I say that because got married young. I know this is lightning round, it's not really lightning. Got married young and just really lost myself in relationship and lost a sense of who I was
Right.
individually. Now I'm 40 years old and I'm rediscovering who Martina is apart
Nice.
any external identifier or relationship. And so, yeah, that's the lesson is like coming back to self. Come,
Yes. Or
yeah,
I love that. And,
yeah,
there is often, just because of perceptions and expectations, when a marriage ends, there is a sense of failure because you don't get into it for a long time, right? That's very common.
that's true.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
so as a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
You'll never believe this. Oh, maybe you might. A dentist.
Wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, I know, I'm getting a lot of wows from you until, I realized I needed chemistry, and I was like, "That science is not my thing."
All righty.
Yeah, but a
Uh,
dentist, I always dreamed of being. I think it's because I love my dentist too, he was the best, Dr. Stosky in the valley.
okay. Cool. So what's your most important ritual?
Prayer.
Hmm,
Prayer and waking actually, first and foremost, waking up and saying, "Thank you, God, for another day."
nice.
Yeah.
Which is a prayer.
That is a prayer, yeah, so every day I wake up and I have air in my lungs, I know I still have a purpose to complete here, yeah.
I love it. Who do you admire?
My parents. I
Hmm.
know, it's such probably a common answer, but I just love my parents so much, individually and as a couple. Their love for one another is just so beautiful, and the way they have raised us as children is so different from the experiences that they had as children themselves.
Hmm.
I just call them chain breakers because they created a new path for their family, which was very different from the life that they had growing up, so I'm just so proud of them, just love them so much.
I love it. How do you nourish yourself?
In a variety of ways, like physically, food. I love food. Also, spiritually, I've been leaning into that a lot, like listening to encouraging music and podcasts, reading. Reading the Bible a lot lately and just reading, period. Writing
Hmm.
has been really nourishing for my soul, and as much as I can, moving my body in some way. Yeah.
Nice.
And socializing, being with people that I love. I find also that changes too as you get older. It's, finding your inner circle, the
Yes.
people those closest to you who can really relate and pour back into you as you pour
Hmm.
into your relationship. So that's been really great as well. And just, yeah, loving.
Nice. And what do you want to be remembered for?
Ah, my biggest hope would be how I loved.
Mm, okay.
Yeah, how I loved others. I just love people. I love connection. I love love in its many form. And I think, yeah. I mean,
Nice.
yeah. It's not even like some before I would say, my work, but even that is just underneath the work is still love. So that's my answer. That's my final answer.
That's my final answer, Alex. And finally, what's your purpose in life?
Well, funny you ask that because I also think my purpose is to love, to be a light. And, I think especially now more than ever, people are searching for
Mm,
love and light. And we live in such an interesting time right now, and it feels very dark. But also, I think the more that nourish my spiritual self, the more I have hope. I always ask God, lead people on my path who need to be seen, to be loved, and so to see a light, hope, and possibility in their lives. Because without my faith, Lord, I don't know where I would be. But all I know is that I am here and I believe my purpose is to love and shine a light on the path of others.
I love that. And so, Martina, if people are looking to get in touch with you, what's the best place through socials or?
Yeah, you can find me on social media, usually Instagram, Threads at Martina Kelades, MartinaKelades. Same for LinkedIn and Instagram, lifeoutloud.ca. And my website is lifeoutloud.ca as well. And you can find my Life Out Loud page on Instagram at lifeoutloud.ca. So it's
I
very
love it.
either lifeoutloud.ca or Martina Kelades or martinakelades.com. Those are the two handles. So if
Beautiful.
if you type in Google either one of those, you'll find me somewhere on a platform.
Well, thank you so much
Oh,
for coming on. Huh?
can I also say Martina at lifeoutloud.ca for email? Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So thank you so much. I truly appreciate you coming here to share your story and your insights and those little things that people can do that make such a difference.
And thank you for having me, Ravi. Like, you're part of the journey, and so I'm so grateful that you have allowed me to share a part of that on your platform and this journey that you just started as well. So I'm excited for you, and this is a blessing to others, I'm sure.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for listening to SOULgineering, your life and work. And we will see you next week.
I got the energy, it's all I need to